Welcome to day 3 of tube strikes in, you guessed it, London. The city where you can't afford rent, but you can't afford a daily existential crisis at bank station. And today, yes, the almighty tube drivers are out at it again, fighting for the noble cause of making 75 grand a year just to press a button. Meanwhile, I know somebody which is a nurse for the last 20 years or 15 years, a band 7 if you may in London, who literally is keeping people alive, and she makes half of that. Yes, she saves lives, yet she makes half of that. So let's take a moment to really take the piss. You need to imagine that tube drivers in London earn around between 65,000 a year and 75,000 a year. For those who are unresearched or uninformed, that's more than your higher earners or top earners, around 1 to 5% around the whole UK. That's right. For context, that's a lawyer's money, just to put it into perspective. That's a junior banker's money. That's I own 3 pairs of Balenciaga sneakers, but still I can't spell Balenciaga money. All for sitting in a fucking cabin and pressing start and stop and letting the train do the rest. Honestly, the most dangerous part about their job is not spilling their coffee when the train breaks a little hard. That's the only hard part of their job, and you're in a tunnel sometimes, depending on where you are. Now, when you compare that to a nurse, which is higher, I'm not talking about a junior nurse, a fresh one that just came into a hospital. I'm talking about a manager almost. Is not fresh graduate. This is the one with 10, 15, 20 years of experience who manages wards and makes sure that you don't die in your sleep. Those people earn around 50,000? Not even. They barely reach that. They barely reach 52,000. And if they're lucky, 55. And that's because you have to add a little bit of London uplift. And sure, maybe they will hit 60 because of this London outweight. Okay? Congratulations. You now make slightly less than a person whose greatest responsibility is not to miss a stop at Morden Street. Now, I've dissected even why are they striking, of course. So, apparently 75,000 again is not enough for a 35-hour work week. They want to put it down to 32 hours a week. Brace yourself, it's too hard. It's so hard to handle a cabin on your own. And oh, absolutely, I mean, if my heart would bleed, imagine sitting in a padded seat pressing a button occasionally while Spotify does all the heavy lifting for you. I mean, it's exhausting. It's so exhausting, my God. You need to imagine and compare nurses who are pulling a minimum of 12-hour shift back-to-back nights because they're understaffed. Imagine wiping every imaginable body fluid overnight, then staying late because the ward is short-staffed or you have to cover other people. But no worries, I mean, I'm sure the tube drivers are here to demand their justice. I mean, justice for their right to get paid banker money for doing less work than a Roomba. I mean, what? And here's the kicker. Tube trains in general are already automated. They basically run themselves. You have tech that already exists. For example, if you go to Paris, they have fully driverless metro lines. Japan, I mean, they have bullet trains that could probably outthink me in a bad day. But in London, nah, we got a guy in high-vis that's literally pressing play and then going on a strike because it's too much. What if we replace those people with robots, how they did on the Dockland Light Rail or DLR service, and no one will notice, except maybe the Greeks across from the depot that they're probably a fan of. Let's be honest, if we can automate self-checkouts, you can also and most likely automate Victoria Line, and self-checkouts don't strike. They just awkwardly scream, "Oh, unexpected item in baggage area," which is still more communication than we got from TfL during this strike. So, let's weigh this up as a final point. Nurses, you save lives, you earn about £50,000 a year, and occasionally you might end up getting punched by the wrong patient. Then you got your tube drivers who just slaps a button and earns £75,000 a year, and occasionally gets annoyed when the metro runs out of crosswords. From what you remember, nurses have had 0 strikes in the history. If I'm not mistaken, they don't have that many holidays. It's just relentless work. Then you got your driver in here that have 3 strikes in a week because their caramel macchiato didn't foam properly. One of these people is a hero. The other is just a glorified flipping DJ who has a metal warm underground. That's what they fucking do. So, next time you're stranded in the rain because the tube's down, just remember that somewhere. Maybe a driver is at home resting on their very tired button pressing finger because they probably developed six packs from pushing around too many buttons, while you have a nurse that's keeping someone alive for half the pay. So maybe the future is simple. Sack all of them, kill new immigrants anyway, that's easy, but let the robots drive the trains. Or even that, pay the nurses like they're heroes and they deserve their stuff, and maybe London might actually function for once. Until then, start walking or get an Uber. I don't know. Thank you, TFL. You made me nostalgic, but buses smell like crap. Anyway.